Welcome back to the Builder's Bench. I'm Craig Larkins. Today, we're talking about support. It's a new confidential text line for tradespeople living with chronic pain and a broader initiative through Pain BC's Trades and Pain program, offering peer support, coaching, education, and resources designed specifically for people in construction. So joining us on the bench today is James Bosley, Trades and Pain Lead with Pain BC. James, welcome to the bench.
Thanks very much for inviting me.
Let's just dive right into the conversation. Give us a quick intro on Pain BC and specifically the Trains and Pain program.
Yeah, Pain BC has actually been around for 15 plus years. And the biggest thing that they do is offer pain education to people that are dealing with chronic pain. So, as you mentioned there, we've got our um, Coaching for Health program where a person can come to us that is really struggling, and we feel that coaching would be a good benefit to them. They get 12 sessions for free with a coach to help them with sleep patterns, with pacing. Pacing is a big one when you're in chronic pain. Just, not pushing yourself till you're in pain, pushing just before you get to that pain level. Take a rest, reset your body, get back into it. So that I started as a coach, so I'm a little bit biased to it. But we also have like our Empowered Relief, which is just a 2-hour webinar, and it's through Stanford. It's created by Stanford. And we're actually going to be starting one in the fall. I believe it's in the fall. I think it's November for young adults. So I think it's 14 and up. If I might, don't quote me on that, but then there's also ones we have for just people in general that are dealing with pain, and it's just a quick 2-hour session, but there's been a lot of great feedback about it. And then we have our peer support groups. There's a whole bunch of different ones. We're going to be creating one for the trade specific. What else we have? We have our pain support line, which is our main line that you call into Mondays to Fridays, and you'll get a counselor or a social worker and just tell them what's going on. We've got such a list of resources. It's amazing. They'll try to do their best. Maybe they'll suggest one of our PBC programs that are already in existence. Something like Making Sense of Pain, for example. It's a 9-week course where you spend an hour and a half a week talking to people or talking with one of our leads about just the things that we can do. Like I said, the sleep, diet, mindfulness, go through all those kind of things. And then there's also science supporting that after 9 weeks, your neuroplasticity starts to change so you can actually feel better. And it's just changing your thought process, changing those things that maybe hinder you from healing. And it's not your fault. It's just that's how the pain shows up. So we've got great resources like that. And then with Trades and Pain program, it started a year ago last January. And it was just basically directed by we were getting feedback from Vancouver Island Construction Association and places like Leadcore, where they were talking about the opioid crisis and how pain was related to it. It's impossible to deny that pain has played a part in that. And it's great. Like when I started going through and reaching out to companies and looking at what they're doing, they've got great stuff as far as mental health support and addiction support. But there's a missing link about pain because a lot of times it's just the pathway. So once I started reaching out, talking to people, they're like, yeah, absolutely. And I'm talking to people with lived experience where they had an accident, they went to the doctor and they got like 200 pills handed to them. And, when you're in that kind of pain, you're just trying to numb it. And then if you have maybe some adverse childhood experience, some trauma, those kind of things, then the chances of going, deeper into trying to soothe yourself with something, drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever it is, the chances are way greater that you're going to try and take care of yourself that way. And it's not that the person's doing anything wrong. They're just trying to take care of themselves. It's just, unfortunately, with opioid crisis, it was taking a lot of lives.
Hmm. So the supports were there. The trains and pain program you mentioned had launched last year, and now you have a new initiative. Let's dive into that. So it's called the
Yes.
Guideline. It's a new support system offered to tradespeople. So walk us through that. Where do we start? Where do we end? What supports do people get that are listening?
It's almost the exact same as reaching out to our pain support line. It's just now this is specifically targeted for people in the trade. So we're open from Monday to Thursday, 1 to 8 p.m. And it's the exact same phone number as contacting the pain support line. So both lines are the same. It's just this one you can actually text it, and you can text trades and then that number, and then they know that you're specifically reaching out about the trades. Um, and yeah, it was just one of those things that we realized that sometimes talking on the phone, that can be an obstacle for somebody that's already struggling. Maybe, especially like I said, it's 1 to 8, and a lot of those guys were home alone with whatever they're dealing with. Maybe they're
Hmm.
soothing, doing whatever it takes to soothe themselves. So even a phone call might be too much. So if it's a text, then it reduces that stigma that is just too prevalent still. So
Hmm.
just shoot that text. Nobody has to see you, nobody has to hear you, and just talk about what it is you're looking for. And then again, we'll have a counselor that's mainly working it, and then we also have our other counselors and social workers. So again, they'll just go through whatever it is you need. They'll try and put together a plan for you, um, and then you work together on what you can do.
So it's a text-based conversation between
Totally.
the person texting and a counselor. So how important do you think programs like this are? You just mentioned that there's a stigma associated, I think, with just mental health in general and just reaching out and support,
Yeah.
but not just in construction, but I think in several industries. So how important you're part of this initiative are programs like this for people and industry specifically?
It's so important. It really, really is. Like the main reason I became so passionate about this is I actually was thinking about doing something very similar, but it was more mental health based. It wasn't as much the pain based.
Hmm.
Because I grew up working in the oil field, and I was seeing people back in 2016 with the crash in Alberta with the oil field. And I was hearing every day friends of mine committing suicide or going down the path of addiction and just really, really struggling. And I knew they didn't have anybody. So, one of the reasons why um, I really started focusing on that. Like I had a workplace accident where I was off for 6 years, and I
Hmm.
just really focused on trying to figure out how I could help people like myself, try and get the help that I've needed in that time, but also my friends, my family, coworkers, the list goes on and on and on of the people that I seen struggle growing up working, whether it be oil field, trades, agriculture, and honestly, just men in general that just had
Hmm.
that stigma and almost like a fear of reaching out. Um, and I just wanted to try and figure out something. So when this fell in my lap, really, I jumped all over it because like I said, it was what I wanted to do, and I just see such a huge need for people to be heard.
Hmm.
And the statistics alone show that it's so needed. In 2023, 21% of the people that died of opiates or of overdose, they were trades workers, or they'd worked within a year of that before their death. So, and then you look at also the amount of people that are working with injuries and not talking about it because it's that old mindset of, just push through, just rub some dirt in it, keep going. And that's where our
Hmm.
ad campaign came in and kind of targeted those as old dumbass ideas. And, our slogan says, don't be a dumbass, chronic pain is real. And
Hmm.
it's true. So I just wish more people would take support over silence and realize there is something that can be done for them. Even I give out my number and tell people just call me if you're struggling, because sometimes just seeing a person like me that is just like them,
Hmm.
it's maybe a little bit comforting to realize that they can say something.
I love what you just said there, support over silence. So, for any VRCA member companies or industry in general, how can industry better support this program and people dealing with these issues?
I think a lot of people are just on board, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I suggest is if we can add a little bit of pain education into orientation when new people come in, but then also let the people that have been there for a while know that if they do get injured, that they are supported.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point talking or keeping it silent, because if that acute injury, let's say a twisted ankle, and if you don't deal with it proper, maybe have to take some time off, and maybe it's time off without pay. That starts adding to the mental health part of things. And when you mix pain and mental health, it can become chronic. And it can also become a permanent injury.
Mm-hmm.
And with acute, it's 0 to 3 months. It's usually healed within that time. And then chronic is 3 months and beyond. And I've talked to so many trades workers at some of the events I've been to. And, it's one of the first questions: are you dealing with pain?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, we're good. We're good. 5 minutes later, they're like, well, this shoulder's been acting up for the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, yeah, we can do some things to help that. And, sometimes it's one of those things where the injury, if you've got your x-rays, you got your MRIs, CT scans, whatever it is, and you've proven that it's healed, but you're still in pain, that's that chronic thing where there's something else going on, whether it's a past trauma, or maybe you've got bills piling up. Maybe you're in the midst of a divorce. The divorce rate with people in construction and stuff is, I think it's over 30%. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So when, the kids, they need new skates for hockey or whatever it is, all that stress can just compound, and it just starts showing up in the body as pain.
So the messaging at the end of the day is listen to your body, and of course, the support is there. So please seek it out if it's needed. Where can people access? Let's just go through this one more time, James. Where can people access all the great resources and the new guideline?
For sure. So one thing they can do, they can go to painbc.ca, and they can see a lot of our resources right there. A lot of the different programs, they can look at it themselves. We've got links to some sites called Live Plan B and Live Plan B Plus, where it's old articles they can look at. But then they can also phone our pain support line Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., or they can contact our text line Monday to Thursday, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m., and that is 1-833-261-7246.
And we should point out, if you want to just contact through text, it is just simply text the word trades to
Yep,
that number.
to that number. Yep.
Any final remarks, my friend?
You know what? I'm just grateful for people like you guys reaching out and been so supportive of everything we've been doing. I'm blown away by it. I honestly felt like there might have been a little bit of pushback where people thought, we're trying to point blame and things like that. And we're not. We're just trying to change the story a little bit, change
Mm-hmm.
the conversation. And it's moments like this that I'm just beyond grateful for. So thank you for letting me come on and talk about this.
Well, thank you for the great work you do. You can find more information, of course, on Pain BC's website. James, thanks today. Thanks for joining us on the bench today. James is the trades and plan lead with Pain BC. You can find past episodes of the Builder's Bench on vrca.ca. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and invite your friends to take a seat on the bench. I'm Craig Larkins, and this is the Builder's Bench.